SGA and OKC are 4 wins away from an NBA championship, but the other side has Tyrese Haliburton and the red-hot Indiana Pacers, who could find an edge in this year's finals. And finally, I've got my top performers and my NBA Finals prediction. Y'all ready? Let's go. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Control Room. I'm your host, Esrael Johannes. Sorry I've been gone since the start of the playoffs. I've had to upgrade my graphics system to move a lot faster in order to keep up with the playoffs. But now we're at a spot where I can actually get graphics out really quickly and I can continue covering the finals as normal. So let's start off with the updated NBA playoff bracket and how we got to this point. Let's start off in the top left corner with the Thunder sweeping the Grizzlies and playing the winner of the Nuggets-Clippers matchup, which was the Nuggets in 7. That led to the Thunder beating the Nuggets in 7 and then playing the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. The Wolves got there by beating the Lakers in 5 games in the first round, and their matchup in the second round was the Golden State Warriors, who took down the Houston Rockets in 7 games. The Wolves beat the Warriors in 5 games in the second round and then fell to the Thunder 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals. On the East side, the Pacers made it all the way through, and here's how they did that. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games in the first round and played the first seed Cleveland Cavaliers, who had swept the Miami Heat. Indiana beat Cleveland 4-1, which led them to the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks, who had to overcome a Detroit Pistons squad and win 4-2 and play the winner of the Celtics Magic matchup, which was the Boston Celtics, in 5 games. That led to the Knicks beating the Celtics in 6 games, especially after Jason Tatum's Achilles injury. And then the Knicks fell to the Pacers in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals to lead to this NBA Finals matchup between Oklahoma City and Indiana. So let's start with the best team all year long, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've been so dominant the entire season. Why has that been the case? Let's look at some of their numbers from the regular season and compare it to the playoffs. In the regular season, the Oklahoma City Thunder had 16.0 stocks per game. That's steals plus blocks per game. They had a 2.29 assist-to-turnover ratio, which was the 3rd best in NBA history. A 12.7 net rating, 5.6 bench net rating, and a plus 12.9 plus minus. And just so I can break down the stocks a little bit more, the Thunder had 10.3 steals per game, which was first in the NBA, and 5.7 blocks per game, which was second. All 5 of these categories were led by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were number 1 in all 5 of them. And that plus 12.9 plus minus is the best in NBA history. The next 5 teams all won the NBA championship that year. In the playoffs, the Oklahoma City Thunder have 16.3 stocks per game, a 2.15 assist-to-turnover ratio, an 11.2 net rating, a 5.5 bench net rating, and a plus 10.8 plus minus. Breaking down the stocks again, they have 10.8 steals per game, which is first, and 5.6 blocks per game, which is 5th, marginally, actually 1 block behind Indiana. And the 16.3 stocks per game is first in the NBA. One thing that we didn't get to see with the Oklahoma City Thunder because they were so dominant all year long is how they played in tight situations, clutch games, games that ended with a small margin. There just wasn't enough of a sample size to know how well this team performed. But they performed pretty well in the past, and you have a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing really well at all times. Even J-Dub down the stretch can get you plenty of games in those situations, but we just needed to see it. Really, the whole country needed to see it in order to really believe. Let's look at the Thunder in the clutch this postseason and see why they're still formidable even in tight games. They have a 5-2 clutch record, which is the 4th best in the postseason. They score 10.9 points per game, which is also 4th. They attempt 4.6 free throws a game, which is first. They also make 3.4 free throws, which is also first. Their defensive rating is 103.4, which is 3rd in the postseason, and their plus minus is plus 2.3 in the clutch, which is also third. Again, Oklahoma City has been this dominant because of their MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Well-deserved winning the MVP this season. Let's look at his numbers in the regular season and the playoffs. This year, SGA has scored 32.7 points per game, shot 51.9% overall, 37.5% from three, 89.8% from the free throw line, had 6.4 assists and 1.7 steals. In the playoffs, he's averaging 29.8 points per game on 47.1% shooting overall, only 30% from three, but 85.7% from the free throw line, with 6.9 assists and 1.6 steals. And of course, he won MVP and the scoring title. So yes, SGA is great. But did you notice something there? All of his numbers are down except assists. Now, why is that? Defenses have tried to take away SGA offensively, because by doing that at the point of attack, it kind of limits Oklahoma City's offense. But because they're getting in his driving lanes or preventing him from scoring the way that he wants to, he's becoming a bit more of a playmaker. And you saw those assists go up by about half an assist. The others play a big role on this team, like Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. There's so many players on this team that get playing time. However, there are two key players that are just as important as the entire bench unit, if not more important. So who are the biggest beneficiaries of SGA being the game plan for any defense that goes up against Oklahoma City? That starts with Chet Holmgren. Looking at his splits at home and on the road this postseason, at home, Chet scores 16.9 points per game on 50.5% shooting overall, 38.2% from three, 77.1% from the free throw line, grabs 8.3 rebounds, and has 2.3 blocks per game. On the road, he scores 15.9 points per game on 47.2% shooting overall, 28.9% from three, 72.7% from the free throw line, 8.9 rebounds per game, and 1.6 blocks per game. So you do see the efficiency drop for Chet when he's on the road versus when he's at home. He is really young, so that could be something that affects him a little bit more than some of the more veteran players on this team, guys with more experience. But he's not the only one who plays on that team and could provide a spark when the Thunder need it if SGA is on the bench or if he's in foul trouble, whatever the reason. Maybe he's not scoring well. It's not just Chet. That's the luxury that the Thunder have. They also have J-Dub, who had quite a few accomplishments this season. J-Dub, who's coming off a season where he was named both an All-Star and second-team All-Defense, is scoring 20.3 points per game at home on 48.3% shooting overall, 27.3% from three, 75% from the free throw line, dishing 5.3 assists and 1.7 steals per game. On the road, he's scoring 20.6 points per game on 42.5% shooting overall, but 36.6% from three and 79.4% from the stripe, along with 5.3 assists and 1.6 steals. He also had a playoff career-high 34 points in Game 4 in the win against Minnesota. So on nights when maybe Chet is not going, J-Dub might, and vice versa. It also could be dependent on location. One thing is for certain, SGA is going to be one of the most consistent players on the floor on both teams. And by having him there as your anchor, you're going to be in a good spot. But having one, if not both of those guys playing really well alongside him, Oklahoma City is pretty much unbeatable. But they have to execute because this Indiana Pacers team is not to be trifled with. And anytime you think you have a lead, they just come right back. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about what Indiana could do to possibly surprise everybody one more time. Moving on to the Eastern Conference champions, the Indiana Pacers are moving faster than the cars in the Indy 500. Let's look at why this offense has been so good this postseason. The Indiana Pacers score 117.4 points per game this postseason, which is second, on 49.7% shooting overall, which is first. They shoot 40.1% from three, which is first. They average 28.1 assists per game, which is first. They have a 2.21 assist to turnover ratio, which is first. And they have 4 17-plus point comebacks, which is first. They have the most 17-point comebacks in a single postseason in NBA history. Now, how does a team just keep getting away with it? I don't understand how, if you know the Indiana Pacers can do what they do, you do everything in your power to make sure that they don't do it again. And yet they just keep doing it again. There's a reason why Indiana has been breaking people's hearts left and right this entire postseason. This also isn't just a one-year thing. They did this last year as well. One of the phrases that tends to go around in economics is price is determined at the margin. And the same applies here in the playoffs, because when you have these matchups, anything that you expect is going to get nullified. With the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, that's the game plan. Karl Anthony Towns, that's the game plan. Defend them, make someone else beat you. That happens all the time in the playoffs. And it's about what you do in the margins that can make or break your series and your season. So let's look at the point differentials in this postseason for the Indiana Pacers over their first three series. In the first round against the Milwaukee Bucks, they were a minus 18 in bench points, a plus 29 in fast break points, plus 7 in points off turnovers, and plus 31 in assists. In the Eastern semifinals versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were a plus 38 in bench points, plus 11 in fast break points, plus 9 in points off turnovers, and plus 44 in assists. In the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks, they were a plus 93 in bench points, and that was not even a franchise record. You know what it was? The plus 58 fast break points. That was a franchise record. The plus 79 points off turnovers. That's a franchise record. And then plus 35 in assists. The plus 58 fast break points and plus 79 points off turnovers are both franchise records in a playoff round in the play-by-play era. That's insane. How do they keep getting away with this? Of course, like I said, the matchups have something to do with it. If you play a team with a bad bench or a bench that's not used, you're probably going to have a better advantage. But someone still has to be the head of the snake here. Somebody still has to navigate the team and impose his will in order for that team to reach the heights of the NBA Finals. That comes from no one other than Tyrese Haliburton. In the playoffs this year, he's averaging 18.8 points per game on 46.6% shooting overall, 33.3% from three, 5.7 rebounds per game, 9.8 assists per game, and 1.9 turnovers per game. In Game 4 against the Knicks, which brought the Pacers to a 3-1 lead, he scored 32 points on 11 of 23 shooting, 5 of 12 from 3, had 12 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. He's the only player in NBA history with a 30-point playoff triple-double, 5 threes, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. Just him. That's the list. This is not my first time going on and on about Tyrese Haliburton. In my previous episode, I mentioned how he is instrumental in how the Pacers play and how successful they can be. But he's not the only driver in this race. Pascal Siakam has something to say. There's a reason that he is here helping this team with his championship experience from Toronto, trying to get them to a place that they haven't been before. Pascal Siakam this season, in the regular season, scored 20.2 points per game on 51.9% shooting overall, 38.9% from three, 6.9 rebounds per game, and 4 30-point games throughout the 82-game regular season. In the playoffs, he's averaging 21.1 points per game on 53.7% shooting overall, 46.3% from three, 5.8 rebounds, and 3 30-point games, which all came against the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's not just Tyrese Haliburton that's elevating his play in the playoffs. Pascal Siakam is showing, I am a force to be reckoned with, and I'm going to be a nuisance for you, one way or another. As long as he's being fed the ball, and as long as he's scoring at an efficient clip, Oklahoma City's going to have their hands full. Now, if you are able to nullify, because I expect the Oklahoma City defense to be really good, if you're able to nullify Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam, you're going to need some X factor in this series. Who is that going to be in this specific matchup? For me, that X factor is Myles Turner, and it's because of his size, strength, and skill set, the way that he plays the game, that makes him really unique. And let's look at his numbers in the postseason. He's scoring 50.2 points per game on 52.5% shooting overall, 40.3% from three. He shoots 64.3% in the paint, has 4.9 rebounds, and then is a great rim protector with 2.3 blocks per game. By the way, this year was a career high for him in three-point percentage, which was 39.6 in the regular season. So here are the big points of emphasis for Myles Turner. He cannot get in foul trouble. That is number one. We saw what that did with Karl-Anthony Towns. Of course, that helped with Mitchell Robinson coming in and being the offensive board machine that he was. But Oklahoma City is still not one of the best teams on the glass. And so if Myles Turner is able to stay on the floor, then Indiana can do a lot of things creatively with all of these different lineups. Again, that's a tall order, trying not to foul against Oklahoma City, but it's going to be required if you want to win a championship. So that's number one. And of course, the size, strength, and skill set I talked about. Having that along with Pascal Siakam is a great counter to Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, because you don't see Hartenstein going out on the perimeter and shooting threes. But that's something that Siakam and Turner can do, whereas that's something that's just reserved for Chet, and you leave Ihart in the middle. So that just gives another look, another lineup that could give Oklahoma City some problems in those margins, especially on the glass, if you have both of those guys crashing. Now, how do these teams match up, right? Not just with the bigs, but overall. What are the margins that I'm looking at? The Pacers and the Thunder in this postseason. Starting with the Pacers, they have a 117.7 offensive rating, which is second. They shoot 40.1% from three, as I mentioned before, which is first. They have a 61.2% true shooting percentage, which is first. Their assist-to-turnover ratio is 2.21, which is first. They score 18.5 points off turnovers per game, which is second. But they score 44.6 paint points per game, which is ninth. Now, when I mention these ranks, these are playoff ranks, so it's 1 through 16, not through 30. Keep that in mind. That means that Indiana is technically in the bottom half, at the very top of the bottom half, of paint points scored. Oklahoma City now has a 115.9 offensive rating, which is third. They shoot only 33.6% from three, which is 13th out of 16. Their true shooting percentage is 57%, which is fifth. Their assist-to-turnover ratio is 2.15, which is third. They lead the league in the playoffs with 23.8 points off turnovers. And they score 50.6 paint points per game, which is second. Very clearly, the eye test will tell you there's a bit of a kinetic aesthetic with these two teams. They love to run fast. They love to get to the basket really quickly. They love to generate shots out of those types of quick actions. One thing that I've noticed, of course, with Oklahoma City, they need to score a bit more in the paint, as you saw with those paint numbers. Indiana has the ability to score in the perimeter. So defensively, Indiana's probably going to want to pack the paint a little bit more and force Oklahoma City to shoot more threes, which they can get hot, but in totality, they haven't really been as good all season up until probably the second half of the season where they got better. But this playoff run is showing that they aren't shooting the three as well as they should be with the shooters that they have. And maybe, just maybe, that could be enough for Indiana to potentially steal a game if they excel where they are strong. However, Oklahoma City is going to do everything they can to take away the perimeter because they have really great wing defenders and force Indiana to have to go inside. Also, Oklahoma City knows how to draw fouls. It's not just SGA. The whole team, the way that they're able to draw fouls is honestly insane. It's relentless at how much pressure they put on you in that regard. And so if you put Indiana in foul trouble, that puts them in a spot where they're not able to keep up with Oklahoma City, and then OKC can eventually dominate like they had all season long. Where both of these teams struggle and can spell victory or defeat for one team or the other is in second chance opportunities. I've talked ad nauseum last year about how the Thunder needed a big because they couldn't rebound offensively. They couldn't score second chance points, and that was going to do them under. They brought in Isaiah Hartenstein for this reason, to be someone who can clean up the glass and grab second chance points. He's been doing that more so than anybody could have last year. Indiana, despite the size that they have in Pascal Siakam and Myles Turner, have scored the fewest second chance points in the postseason with 11.3. Oklahoma City is tied for 10th with 13.8. So really, both of these teams don't use the second chance opportunity as much as other teams have against them or just overall. Whoever wins the battle, of course, at turnovers, because that's very important. These two teams are very good at hanging on to the ball. But also on the glass, whoever wins the rebounding battle is most likely going to win the NBA Finals. That, to me, are the margins that can swing the series to one team's favor. So that's something that you should probably look forward to. All right, now that we've taken care of that, let's transition to the top performers, and I'll tell you who I think is going to win the NBA Finals. If you've made it this far, welcome to the postgame. Here are my top performers for this episode. First off, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In the Western Conference Finals against Minnesota that lasted 5 games, SGA scored 31.4 points per game on 45.7% shooting overall, 86.3% from the free throw line, 5.2 rebounds per game, 8.2 assists per game, and 1.8 steals per game. And he was named the Western Conference Finals MVP. The second top performer is Pascal Siakam. In the 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals versus the New York Knicks, he scored 24.8 points per game on 52.4% shooting overall, 50% from 3, averaged 5 rebounds per game, 1.3 steals per game, and had 3 30-point games. And he was named the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Now, before I share my NBA Finals prediction, I know I didn't release an episode since the start of the playoffs, but I've had round-by-round predictions for each series that I'm holding myself accountable to. I did not get all of these right, but I'm still going to hold myself accountable to it and share them for diagnostic purposes. So let's start with the first round. I had the Thunder over the Grizzlies in 5, OKC won in 4. I had the Nuggets over the Clippers in 7, Denver won in 7. I had the Lakers over the Timberwolves in 7. I wasn't sure that Anthony Edwards was going to be able to be a playmaker the way that he was for an entire series, and he proved me wrong immediately. Minnesota won in 5. I had the Warriors over the Rockets in 7, and Golden State won in 7. Then in the East, I had the Cavaliers over the Heat in 5. Cleveland swept Miami. I had the Pacers over the Bucks in 7. Indiana won in 5. I had the Knicks over the Pistons in 7. The Knicks won in 6. And then I had the Celtics over the Magic in 5, and Boston won in 5. In the second round, I had the Oklahoma City Thunder over the Denver Nuggets in 6. OKC ended up winning in 7. I had the Wolves over the Warriors in 7, and Minnesota won in 5. I had the Cavaliers over the Pacers in 7, and Indiana just smacked me and won in 5. And then I had the Celtics over the Knicks in 6. I don't blame you if this was your thought as well, but the Knicks ended up winning in 6. We all know what happened there. All right, then in the conference finals, the Thunder over the Timberwolves was my pick in 6 games. OKC did it in 5. And then I had the Pacers over the Knicks in 7, and Indiana won in 6. So now, the time has come. My NBA Finals prediction is that the Oklahoma City Thunder will beat the Indiana Pacers in 7 games. Now, when I say 7 games, I do that because there are 2 reasons, and it could be one or the other when I do that. One of them could be I'm not as confident in the pick and that the other team could steal a game. For me, it's more of I am sure that Oklahoma City can win this series. I just think it's going to go the distance. I think Indiana is so good that they can get 3 games in this series. I just don't think that they will get 4. So I'm picking Oklahoma City in 7. In the next episode, we will provide an update for the NBA Finals and go over what's happened over the first 3 games. I'm going to be out of town through the first 2 games. By the time I get back, the third game will be right after, probably day after I land. So after the third game, after game 3, I'll put all these stats together and try to figure out where the rest of the series could go if it's not 3-0. Hopefully it's not 3-0 again. All right. Here's the NBA Finals schedule with all games on ABC. Let's go through the guaranteed games. Game 1, the Indiana Pacers will visit the Oklahoma City Thunder Thursday, June 5th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Game 2, Pacers and Thunder, on Sunday, June 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Game 3, Oklahoma City travels to Indiana and will play the Pacers Wednesday, June 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then Game 4, the Thunder will play the Pacers Friday, June 13th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So that does it for me. Thanks for being here. Make sure to download this episode, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Let's hit the rollout.